I want to say thank you to all of you for showing up here today. I really appreciate it, when you guys come to the call and you share and contribute to the call. It kind of reminds me a little bit of what church should be like. I don't want to try to say this is a church or anything, but I remember when I was coming up, I used to say, how come church doesn't ask you if you have anything to say? Or why doesn't church allow you to raise your hand and ask a question or something like that? I mean, I guess they do that at a Sunday school, but regular church, I kind of wanted it to be where, I could talk too. I didn't just want to sit there and stare at the guy while he was preaching and talking. I wanted to have a chance to say something too, and I felt like church never really gave you that. So here, this is an open forum, and we generally piggyback off of each other and share and say what's on our mind about something or whatever. You if you're new to the call, you'll get to see how it goes, and I think you'll like it here. And we want you to stay. We want you to come back because I see that a community is forming, and I like that. That's what I would like for this to be. Okay. So I realized too that now I have people coming onto the call that really don't know me well, or maybe people that know me, but they don't know me. So one of the things I can say is that everything I say on the call is not new. I've been studying, ancient secrets and practices and information for almost 30 years. I have a lot of mentors, I have a lot of teachers, I read a lot of books. Some of the books out of print now, some of the teachers no longer with us, but who I am and everything I say is the accumulation of all the 30 years of mentoring and reading and studying. Okay. This is not a pop-up shop, a spiritual pop-up shop, or I'm not like a YouTube trained person who comes on here. It's nothing like that. Okay, I've been practicing. I'm a trained coach. Okay, um, and my coaching gets results. Everybody that's on here that has coached with me or um, saw me coaching, they can uh, attest to that. And so that's where it is. So this call today, most of the calls, I always joke around, they're an inside conversation because a lot of us that are on this call, we speak during the week. And it seems to me that during the week, the same thing that's happening for me in my house is happening for almost everybody that I speak to all the time. So there's a oneness too that we're getting a chance to experience by coming together on this call. Because sometimes when something's happening for you, at your house, you think it's only you. And then you speak to another person, they say, oh my goodness, I had the same situation or similar this week. So one of the things that kept coming up this week was staying somewhere or staying with something too long. Like the universe presents to us the time when something is supposed to end or when we finished a lesson, but for some reason, some of us have something that doesn't enable us to recognize that and accept it and then move on. Does anyone have anything to say about that?
Well,
Let's say, who are you in the first place, George? Let's say George is my co-pilot, and I swear to you, I don't think I could get these calls done without him. If George ever told me he was going to be absent or he couldn't make it, I would be freaking out over here. Okay, George, you just need to understand that.
thank you, thank you.
I love you.
Well, too. Um,
Thank you.
the first thing that popped up for me was that people tend to hold on to things, and when they hold on to things, what really that is if we do choose to realize that, is that if you're holding on to something, is you haven't learned the lesson from it. So with everything, when something happens and you hold on, like someone does something to you and you hold on to it, and it's like you didn't learn the lesson from it. Because I believe that the universe happens for us, and what that means is anything, no matter what it is, it becomes something that can teach us a lesson, so we can grow. Because I believe that's what we're here for, so we can grow and contribute. and eventually leave a legacy. So in doing that, when something happens, no matter what it is, if you start asking the question, what can I learn from this? I think that will help you to learn the lesson so then you can let it go and move on, because that just means you're not complete.
That sounds good. And I hear that, and there's part of it that I agree with. But the part I'm questioning is, what if, okay, so what if we are complete and the universe declares us complete with that particular lesson, but there's something inside us that just won't allow us to move forward, even though we're complete? Because there's a way to be complete and just not be able to move forward. So, like, what is that? What is that little area? What is that feeling? What are the thoughts that are there? Because most of what we one of the techniques we employ, right, when we're trying to grow, is self-reflection, right? So we get to experience a feeling or a thought and then investigate that thought to find out inside ourselves, where's that coming from, or what's that connected to. And most of the time it's the past, right? And then we get to deal with it, connect with it, and then take it out if it doesn't serve us any longer or it doesn't belong there. So help me understand about being complete,
Okay.
but
So
not,
go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
help me.
Oh, you no, finish your thought. I mean,
Yeah, because I'm thinking about when we are complete and the lesson is complete and the lesson is learned. Is that what, like, we don't trust it, or we don't trust ourselves, or we don't trust the universe to support us if we move forward, or is it fear? What is that? Anybody?
well, just to complete on that, I think you said it in when you said about the past, holding, basically living on and holding on to the past. Because the thing is, I believe in order for people to, for you to be in pain is living in the past, because we can't change the past. But if you're living in the present, then you can change it. I mean, you can actually enjoy what's going on right now. I mean, I believe living in the present and looking for the future is what give us happiness. When you live in the past, there's nothing you can do to change it. And if you can't change that, what happens? It leads to pain, you know? And so my thing is, if something happens and you feel that you've learned a lesson from it, the only way that you truly know that you've learned a lesson from it is to accept it. And you say, okay, well, this is what the lesson is, but you haven't accepted it, so you're not going to move forward. You have to accept it and acknowledge that, you know, this happened, and I have to accept it for what it is and move, and then you
Okay.
move forward. Because you're really holding on to it, even though you say you learned a lesson, you're just really holding on to it. You're not letting, you refuse to let it go.
That's a good vocabulary word, acceptance. Yeah, I think that was it. That was it, George. Thank you. Acceptance. So, yeah. So, what is it? What is it, right? That's connected to seeing something is complete, not being able to move forward because we have not accepted whatever there is
To
in
it.
in that experience, right? To help us to get complete.
I agree.
Yeah, so like that's the area. That's like the little, that's the juiciness, that we hate, that we try to stay away from, because what happens is I find that when it's time to move on and you're moving into an area that's unknown, because that's a lot of times what's happening. The where you were not comfortable in a place that everything wasn't working the way you wanted it to work. There was a familiarity, and although things weren't working, we got stuck in the familiarity or the comfortability, if that's a word. You already know me. I like to make up my own shit, right? So anyway, we get stuck in. I even hear people have expressions like "stay with the evil you know," or something like that, right?
Whatever you know.
You with this, you know it, even if it's bad and it's not working, just stay there. Just stay there, right? So I just wanted to put that out and have us all, like, just look for ourselves to see if we are doing that in any area especially in the area of relationships, because that's kind of why we come into this call. Um, and just to see
Tanya,
what you got, Christine? Come on.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, you know, I know this is amazing, but that what you're describing is like every failed romantic relationship that I have ever experienced. Like I did not go until, I mean, I hung on and hung on and hung on and hung in there. So this is not happening now for me, and I can't see anything that like happened during the week or recently. But everything you said, just took me back to like every time I tried with somebody. You know, I just didn't know when to go. And I'm going to stop talking now.
I don't ever want you to stop talking, but consider that that is happening for you now somewhere there, across the
Gotcha.
somewhere. Look all across the board, because everything that happens in front of us is happening in front of us because it's happening to us right now. You can hear on this call
Gotcha.
with us inside of this conversation unless that's happening to you, myself included. So we, you know, the work, we just have to take a look and see. And it's good that you didn't, that this wasn't tapping you and it wasn't bugging you, you know what I mean, somewhere, but that you get a chance to look at it when it's not something that's bugging you, if that's clear.
Yes, clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
What do you have about that?
No, I'm just taking a look now with
Okay.
a new lens
Okay.
here.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Take your time. Oh my goodness. Anybody else? Sharon, how is any of this landing for you over there?
Sorry, I was talking and it was unmuted.
Oh, that's okay.
It's landing pretty hard in the sense of the letting go, knowing when things come to an end or situations should no longer be, but I want to stay present in that. And sometimes that's about ego for me, and then other times it's about seeing a vision and wanting others to see it as well, as opposed to just stepping back and letting it be. So, yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Ego.
Yeah.
Say more about that part.
So it's, you know, ego's not a bad thing. It's just something that I believe you have to acknowledge. And it's about how you want to be seen as opposed to just being your authentic self. So I don't necessarily, I mean, I do know that there are the extremes on the narcissist level, but it's more of, I want to look or present a particular way so that others won't ask questions of me, or I might not ask questions of myself. And
what would be an example, like a failed marriage and keeping up appearances or something like that? Tell me.
Well, you know, interestingly, I'm going through something right now. My son doesn't necessarily care about his hygiene and his physical presentation all the time. And so when he's home with me, I'm okay with it. But when he goes out, I'm like, don't misrepresent, right? And because that's also, for me, it's a reflection of myself. Well, did you take care of him? Did you show him how to do the right things? Da 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 da. And what I've had to realize is that I have to let that go, because it isn't really a reflection of me. It's how he wants to show up. But unfortunately, we're not in a kind world. And so it becomes, well, your hygiene is not correct, or didn't your parents teach you how to be clean? And so then my ego gets up like, of course I did, right? And so now I'm mad because he's not showing up in the way that I think he should show up, because I don't want the backlash, as opposed to just letting it be. Because it really doesn't matter at the end of the day how he shows up physically. It's what his heart is about. And I know that internally. But I know that the world is not kind, and I'm wanting to say, do this for me, as opposed to supporting him and saying, well, just show your heart.
George, let some people in from the waiting room if you can. Thank you. So Sharon, I want to say that the world is an amazing place. And so everything that we say is what it is to us in our personal experience. So we could have a conversation about that at a later time. But what I can give anyone who's listening is that, words create. So a reality. So one place I found a really good information about how to shift our perception of the world and how to use words to create our world is in a book called The Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn. Scovel, last name Shinn. There are actually 4 books in there, and one of them is The Power of the Spoken Word, and another one is Your Word is Your Wand. And so those books teach you about everything you say is what gets created for you in your life. So from where I'm sitting, the world is amazing. It's not this place that's not kind, okay? But we can talk about that because you started coaching with me, right? So that is going to come out in our coaching.
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. So no worries. So I heard everything you said, but I just wasn't clear how that connected with staying with something too long, even though the realization of the completion of it, was evident.
Well, I meant more so of staying with how I'm feeling and showing up in a conversation about perception or image. And that was just an example of staying. Like, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I've been staying in it based on my Caribbean background, my community, I got all these reasons why I want to stay in it, as opposed to, but I already know that it doesn't matter.
Okay, I
That's
understand
what I
now.
meant. Yeah,
I get it. I totally get that. And the other thing, hi. The other thing I wanted to share is that you mentioned ego, and I thought that was such a great example of what happens to people, why sometimes it's clear that they should move from something that's not working or let something go, like a job or a relationship or something like that, right? Ego does play a large part in that. And it made me think about the work that we're doing is the work that there is just for us to be doing. And by that, I mean that our whole existence here is to work to dissolve the ego and connect with and create a stronger presence as spirit. And the Bible and going to church and everything, this is the main reason for it. But for some reason, it gets lost. I don't know why. I was a student of A Course in Miracles for 4 years. And I go back and forth, and the whole premise of A Course in Miracles is to give exercises every day that will teach us how to dissolve the ego and create more of a strong presence and a strong relationship with spirit self, or show up as spirit, not as ego. So A Course in Miracles is another, I would highly recommend it. I studied that with a special teacher that teaches Egyptology and everything, and she teaches Egyptian mysticism through A Course in Miracles. Shout out to Aziz. Okay, so does anybody have anything about any of that? Joseph, what are you over there doing? Joseph, what do you have about what we're talking about? I love it. Comedy on the calls just makes the call even more amazing.
So with Sonia, I wanted to hear some more, and she said she wanted to join, but I've been attending to her most of the time. So I heard something about the work that we're doing, and I was she's excited.
Hi, Sonia. So do you want to wait a little longer so you can get a little more info and then jump in?
Yeah, and that's if, you know, she's here only today, yesterday and today. So if, you know, it depends. If she sits and wants to watch a little TV, I'll join, right? But if she wants to play, I'm gonna play. So I'm letting her run my day today.
That's beautiful because we're all about being organic. So just take whatever you need. Okay, love you.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have it on in the background anyway, but sometimes it'll be on mute and I won't be right by the computer.
Okay, no worries.
On in the background, I mean, so fine.
No, but thank you for joining and then just take what you need. That's all.
I appreciate that.
Okay, not a problem. Okay. So Devon Artist, how's everything?
Hey, Sister Tanya, what's going on? I'm good.
Okay, great, great. I like your little bulletin board and everything back there. You look very important. Busy. It looks important, you know.
I am important.
Yes, but now you get to show the whole rest of the world like how important looks. This looks like you got some good stuff going on back there. Everything. So do you have anything yet or you want to listen a little longer? Talk to me.
I'm listening a little longer.
Okay, that works for me. That's fine. All right. So Jordan, how's everything? It's good to see you on here. Do you have anything about staying too long? Oh, you did say you would be out and about. Okay.
It's okay. I'm in the car now. It's okay. Hi, everybody.
Oh, you look so nice. Look how beautiful you are.
Oh, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I agree with what we're saying about, I mean, he made a very great, I think it was George who made it the point that when lessons present themselves again, that you haven't learned everything you need to learn the first time and you haven't truly accepted the lesson. I think that really stuck with me when I heard him say that. So I completely agree with that. And yeah, I think a lot of times when we do stay too long in situations or relationships, I think it's a lot out of comfort. And I agree with you what you said about knowing the devil that we know.
Mm.
So you guys are really
We do. Like, what can we do to not us in this group not continue to be in our lives? How can we become people who can see when something comes to an end and move forward? So
I think a lot of times people aren't paying attention. I think that they are literally just kind of going with the flow and not paying attention to like certain stimuli or triggers. So for example, because of my diagnosed mental illness, I pay attention to what I'm feeling and how things are going. And so for me, a lot of times I'm very introspective and I'm very cognizant of what's happening to me because I have to constantly pay attention and make sure my mental health is sustained. So I think for a lot of people, that's not their story. I think that we've been trained to just move through life and just to kind of exist in a way rather than being very intentional. So I'm very intentional when it comes to certain things. And I think a lot of times some people just aren't.
yeah, I'm hearing too the check-in.
Mm-hmm.
Saying in the check-in, Kim Sue is not here this week, but she mentioned that I think on the last call how she does check-ins to see how's Kim Sue doing, how's Kim Sue feeling and everything. So yeah, the check-in.
It's very important. It's very important. Now, granted, for me, realistically, let's say, for example, so I have bipolar disorder. So I may go from depression to mania. So for me, a lot of times, even like when I don't realize I'm depressed until 2 weeks after I'm depressed, even though I check in.
Wow.
Because some things could just be that day. Some things could just be that week. But once I realized, wait a minute, for the last 14 days, I've been sleeping till 2 p.m. or I haven't really been eating for the last 2 weeks. What's going on? So sometimes for me, even though I am paying attention, sometimes it still takes a while, but I know if you don't have a mental illness, I know it may not take that long to really pay attention or to, I guess, quote unquote, diagnose yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I want to say is that I'm available to you. And if you ever need me or you need help in any kind of way, you can always call me. And I don't care what time it is, when it is, I don't care.
Okay, thank you.
I got you.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so yeah, that's good. That's good. I heard what you said. Yeah. to check in, but you might need outside support.
Yeah, absolutely. And because delusion, let's be honest, delusion comes with bipolar disorder. And so sometimes I could be saying something to myself that's really not factual. And so it's actually very important to me that the people I keep around, you know, my mother, my girlfriend, my family, my friends, it's very important that I have good, trustworthy people, because a lot of times I have to look to them and say, hey, what are you seeing in me right now? Or what have you noticed that I'm doing? Because sometimes I'm not the best judge of my own character because I might be delusional in that moment. And that's I just have to be realistic about that.
Which
And I
is
think
actually all of us, whether we have bipolar disorder or not. Like, can you get that? That's the reality for almost everybody. Trying to check in with themselves, but they are checking in from their perspective of the past and it didn't work. And so,
Right.
So true.
maybe there's no such thing as the bipolar disorder. Maybe it's just they say that to some people, or because I'm like, that's everybody.
Yeah.
You can't trust yourself to judge yourself. Oh, I'm fabulous. Look at me. I'm, you know, hey, nothing's wrong. What you talking about? You know,
Right.
I definitely agree with that, Sister Tanya, about, I do know a lot of people who won't check in, and a lot of people mentally haven't checked out if they've been diagnosed with something. But I do think most people, we're suffering a lot, but we don't know. We can't tell how to internalize things. So we'll just go about our life doing things that doesn't benefit the world or benefit our own selves. So mentally or emotionally, a lot of times we are drained and we don't know it. But if we do check in and we're cognizant of our feelings, you know, that would definitely help us.
you said something really important, cognizant of our feelings. Okay, so we could be checking in, but then whatever we find, can we discern what it is, or can we discern how it's affecting everything? Cognizant.
We can if we practice knowing what that feels like. So for example, if I'm angry and I know I want to feel better, I first have to acknowledge that I'm angry. You know, and a lot of times I don't think I'm angry. So, you know, I might be laughing, but I'm angry and I'm thinking I'm all right. But so knowing what plane you're really on, if you're depressed, if you're sad, if you're happy, and, you know, knowing anger is better than depression. So knowing the scales that would help you, and, you know, just feeling it. Most times we don't want to feel that pain and acknowledge pain, or we don't want to acknowledge hurt. But once we feel it, it's a kind of like, you know, any addiction for the most part, because a lot of times we are addicted. There's chemical reaction to all of these emotions. And a lot of times we create them because
Yes.
we need that drama to fulfill something in our life. So holding on to a bad relationship, holding on to a bad job, knowing it's like, it gives us that high that we don't really know. Now, when everything is good, something could be wrong. And the wrong, a lot of time, is that chemical that we get when we are feeling emotional on the extreme end of the emotion ladder.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. That's rich. Joseph looked like he's ready to say something. What you got?
The truth is, you guys pretty much said it, both of you. Devon, is that how you pronounce your name? Devon and Tonya, especially Jordan. Was Jordan the one that spoke? Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan.
Because first of all, you know, I wasn't diagnosed with bipolar, but I deal with depression. And when I'm depressed, I don't think I'm depressed. I think the world sucks. As a reality.
That's good.
Everybody is sad. I think nothing is worth anything. So I can very much agree, but to know at that moment is very difficult. And for Jordan to be open to feedback is beyond huge. And I'm saying this because I studied with a doctor that got, you can look him up, Dr. I'll give you the name, but what he's studying is something that applies to all of us. It's called anosognosia. It's people that are dealing with mental illness. So many of them are not aware of their own mental illness, and therefore 75% don't take the medication. If you are aware, and this doesn't apply only to people with mental illness, just like you said, most of us have no idea that what we're fighting for is not what we're fighting for, or if we're arguing about something, we're really in a different world. We're just ignore, it's this anosognosia is so prevalent, and it's a little more like physically in people that are dealing with schizophrenia, maybe bipolar. This is not my words. This is something that was studied, and it's actually a part of the brain they're starting to notice that's, I don't know, gray or something. I'm in a chat group that had a Zoom last night. The chat group is like Hasidic people, which are people with the curls, and it's people of all colors in the chat group, right? But it's a Jewish chat group. So one of the Hasidic people is trans, and he's open about it. But there's a lot of transphobia in the Hasidic world. But he still speaks like a Hasid. He has a lot of trans friends in New York. This is all in New York. And there is some situation where he's supposed to give his wife a divorce, which I have no idea. It's none of my business. It's his personal life. So I'm on the chat for a month or two, and everybody's speaking with him, no problem. And then all of a sudden yesterday, someone got personally offended by him. He went on about everything. I'm not going to call you a girl until you give your wife a divorce. Your people know, and this and that. And he started going on about something as if he cares for his ex-wife, right? And that guy was just pleading, I'm not a guy, I'm a girl. And he was pleading, fine, please stop saying that. It's like so violating. But what hit me hard is that guy is on that chat for so long, and as long as nothing personally offended him, he didn't care about his ex-wife. All of a sudden he got personal. All of a sudden he's claiming he's fighting for his ex-wife. He's like doing it for the right purpose. It's a good deed. Where was all this? This is an old story. You know what I mean? So when we, like you said, when you get angry, we don't think anger is running us. We think we're fighting for a cause and we're fighting for the truth. But there's a test. Like for me, if I did it all of a sudden, when I got offended, I know I'm full of it. I do the same thing. I'm not pointing at him. I'm talking about what we do as humans. So that's my
yeah, that's good. That's good. Wow. Yeah, the check-in. That's what it is. Checking in. And like you said, Devon, checking in, but being able to discern or become cognizant of what you find in when you checking in. She's so cute. Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Alicia Bodison, how is this conversation hitting you? What do you have? Is anything opening? Whatever it is, it's good. Talk to me. And George, do we have anybody in the chat? Everybody's missing today. Everybody's MIA or they late.
Sorry, I was muted. There's nobody on the wait list, no.
I'm surprised. Hi, Shirley. I know you say you were joining in. Welcome. I know you say you're going to do the non-video. No worries. But whenever you want to speak, let me know. Lee, what do you have? You have anything? Okay. Maybe she's busy right now. She's at work. So, what I'm hearing and what I'm listening to is, it sounds to me like most people are well, I guess that are new to like self-development, personal development, like even being interested in looking at their lives and being able to take their lives somewhere else, move their lives forward, or transform their relationship to self or their relationships with others. They first have to master the art of the check-in. maybe there's something that we can do on these calls to kind of give people a how-to as far as the check-in is concerned. Because for me, I really know that that's step one. So if we want different relationships with ourselves and we want different relationships by extension with others, then always take an inventory of what's there, what needs to be there, what's there that's not working, or that's what's there that's not no longer serving us or serving the relationship. It's key. You know, not only looking, being honest with when you go to look, what you find, and also being honest with, you know, the place for everything. You know, I have an aunt that's in her 80s and she's just so fabulous. She lives in Savannah. It's really my father's aunt, right? And when I go to her house, it's just so wonderful because there's like a place for everything. You know, she'll have a little tiny hook and like a key will be hanging on it. You know what I mean? And it's like she knows what that key is for. She knows always where that key is when she's looking for it. And so I'm like, what would our lives look like if we really like did that everywhere, not just in our home, but inside our home too, like our personal home, physical home. Yeah, you know, compartmentalizing, organizing what it is that we're finding there, so that this way, when we need something, we're not pulling out the wrong thing, like Divine was talking about. If we need anger, we're not pulling out smiling or whatever. You know what I mean? Because we'll be able to understand everything that we have and that we don't have and how it works. How it contributes to what we're trying to create in terms of relationships with self and by extension, relationship with others, right? So anybody have anything about that? Shirley, how you doing? It's good to see you. Welcome. I'm so happy you joined in. Yeah, you want to say anything about that?
I think she's muted.
Okay. You can unmute Shirley.
Hi, everybody.
How you doing? It's so good to see you.
Dude, thank you so much. I'm happy I decided to post what I posted, or this wouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to just catch up now. And what I wrote in a post a little while ago, and I don't usually post, but I said I'm tired of this hamster wheel I'm on, and I'm ready to get off. Because I'm like, why am I tired? Why am I exhausted? And why I'm never content? So I asked myself, I said, what is that hamster wheel? And I worked through naming what it could be. And I realized that the running represented me just trying to get things done, just working, taking all of these actions. And that hamster wheel is discontent. So because I'm always discontent, it doesn't matter what I do, I can never find contentment. And it's funny that you talk about your aunt, because that's one of the places I'm discontent. I recently moved, and this issue hasn't just started. And I know I want a place for everything in my home. I just can't get it together. And people think it's lovely, but I'm looking for something perfect, and I know it doesn't exist. So I'm happy to be here and see what I can, figure out next with my life. I know this is divine for me right now.
Well, one thing I want to say is that life can be perfect for you, whatever that looks like. Each one of us have a different perspective, right, on what that is. You know what I mean? And I always say that with relationships too. Like somebody could meet the perfect man, but that perfect man or woman is perfect for them.
Right.
Oh, I'm looking at the dude saying, I don't know what she's talking about, but he's perfect for her.
Right.
Your whole life can be perfect for you, And you can create that, and we'll talk about that. I'm going to chat you my phone number, so after this call we can have a good talk, and you could be in a great place when we hang up the phone. All right, you committed to that for you.
All right.
Yeah. And you know, so the other thing is that this is the second time this is coming up on a call today, and this is completely my issue, which is why the universe is tapping me with it. Morgan Jordan, Morgan, I always get that mixed up with her. But she was saying something and similar to what you were saying. It made me think about creating community. So of course you need to get all these things done, and there are tons of people who would love to come over and have a paint party or have a putting up the shelf party with you. And you just have to create that and let people know that you need that, or you would like them to help you or something like that. So that has been, because you know how they always say, all of the people that ever taught me anything, I used to go to yoga, I used to go to my friend's church, and the yoga man and the church man used to say the same thing all the time. How we do one thing is how we do everything.
Right.
So if I'm not creating community, why am I not doing that? For myself, a long time ago, I realized that was connected to vulnerability, right? So there's some way that I'm not willing to be vulnerable with my community, and that's why people think I don't need anything. I have this appearance of I'm good, I'm handling, and that's why. So I learned how to just be a little more vulnerable with my people, right? And then also just be clear about when I do my check-in, letting people connected to me know what it is that I'm dealing with. And if I need support somewhere, you know, just developing myself in a way that I'm not afraid to let people know if I need support.
So,
How does that land for you?
can I add something? I know
Yeah.
the feeling of feeling not content, but I've come to realize contentment is for that person within. So what works for me is not that I'm not content. Life, I'm here to experience life, the good and the bad. Because in my mind, without that so-called bad, I can't really enjoy the good. So there is, once I get to this place in my life, I want this. And I truly believe that without having that, that means you have already reached nirvana when you do get to so-called perfection. So I don't think you should really beat up on yourself not being content, is more than I'm a person who loves to be challenged.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
You know, and spin those words. And I know Tanya, she's going to speak about words all the time. Me and her, we kick it about words, but it's basically what we're saying to ourselves. Where no, you're not, you are content. You're human. There's no human, I believe, that's content. That's a lie and a myth, in my opinion, is that, but those who feel that they always got to be moving, always something got to be popping, something has to go on, that's the challenge in you, and that's your calling. And because until I took that in, I was depressed. Man, why can't I be like everybody else? They got this, they got that, and I always want something new. But that's the life, that's the gift that you have. And I would embrace some of that, at least some of it.
Yeah. Because we always speak about balance on this call.
Right.
Like, yeah. I love everything he just said, because too, people bring that into relationships with them when they're with other people. So it's like, if we're being that way with ourselves, by extension, we're being that way in our relationships with other people. So when we're in a relationship with a mate or new mate or whatever, or a mate we stay too long with, that whole you're never satisfied will be an issue if we don't check in to get it balanced or resolved. right? So like a lot of times we have relationships that don't work the way that we wanted them to work, and we don't know why. And most of the time we point at the other person, but it's stuff like this of never being satisfied and making the other person feel no matter what I do for you, it's not enough, or whatever it is that happens when somebody gets an idea that you are not satisfied, however that looks. You know, that could be a thing. You know, it could be something that messes up a perfectly fantastic relationship. A satisfied thing, you know,
You know,
that's not, and it really has nothing to do with the other person, you know, but we didn't catch that on the check-in, or we weren't vulnerable enough with our people to create a community that, you know, we could mirror ourselves by, or a community that was made up of, you know, other sisters who would catch that when they watch us to help us know that, you know, maybe you should take that out of there. What do you think?
Tanya, I think there's one thing that we have to look at when you're doing the check-in. One part of the check-in is you have to look at what your rules are. So if you're in a relationship, or if you're, for example, when Joseph was talking about the guy being mad, the guy has a rule. His rule is, you know, if you cross whatever this is, whatever this rule I have, if you violate my rule, I'm going to get angry. But you talking about your wife or whatever, and I don't care about your wife right now until you violate my rule. And then everything else came in. So I think with all of it, when you're doing the check-in, you have to look at, okay, what are my rules for certain things? You know, for example, if you're talking about in a relationship, what's your rule in the relationship? What must they never do? What must they always do? Things like that. Because if you are having challenges in your relationship, any relationship, I think that what it is that you have to look at the amount of rules that you have. For example, if a child is 3 years old or 4 years old and they spill something or whatever, they do anything they do is, oh, he's so cute, she's so cute. But if an adult does the same thing, for example, a child goes, you know, it's a baby and it pisses or goes on its diaper, then what happens? But if a grown adult goes in their pants, it's an issue, right? And so you have to look at that. It's like,
Yeah.
you have rules. We all have rules for that, you know? So, and we have to look at what's my rule that I have around this person. So if I look at those rules, then I'll be able to understand what's going on. Like, instead of pointing the finger at the other person, you definitely do the check-in and say, hey, what are my rules here? What's going on? Which one of my rules, especially if you find yourself getting upset, is like, what's the rule that's being violated right now? And then look at, should I have this rule there? Is it something that, you know, I created in the past? You know, is it going to serve me? Like you say, is it something that I need to take out? Is it going to serve me? You know? And one of the biggest things that I see you saying is truth or honesty. Is like, you have to be truthful with yourself, because like they say, truth sets you free. If you're honest with yourself, and then that will help for you to be honest with everyone else, but the honesty within yourself will set you free.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, that's the check-in, being honest with yourself, checking to see, you know, taking inventory and just being real, you know, this no longer serves me, you know. When I was a teenager and I was dating as a teenager, that looked one way, okay? And then when I got to be in my 20s and started dating, you know, I had different expectations or whatever. 30s, 40s, you know. Now I'm in the 50 club. So it's like, you know, it's what I'm looking for now, and my expectations now are nothing like, you know, what they've ever been. So just being able to keep checking in and moving on and taking out things that no longer belong, they don't work. They worked when I was 30, they don't work now. And I have to be okay with that. And I have to, you know, be okay with, you know, whatever's next, whether I know about it or not. So the unknown, fear of the unknown is a thing. You know, people not comfortable with what they can't predict sometimes. And so I think that's where the work is, getting comfortable with what we can't predict. We don't have to predict everything all the time. We can relax and we can trust the universe or God or whatever it is that we feel is a higher power that's, always cooperating with us in our lives, because there's always something of a higher force cooperating with us, whether we are aware of it at this point in our lives or not. So I would invite anyone who comes to this call to investigate and connect with what speaks to them as a higher source, to work with. Does anyone have anything about that?
I had a question, just so I can be more engaged in the conversation, or I should say connected. What is the purpose of the Zoom meeting, and maybe a little bit about how it came about?
So it's very funny because I was on Facebook and apparently someone made a comment about love and relationships, or somebody made a post and I made a comment under the post. Don't ask me what I said. I don't remember. And the person called me on the phone later and they said, hey, I posted about relationships and your comment sparked a whole crowd of women to start talking, and it was wonderful, but you were gone. You were gone. We can't leave this. We should do something.
Okay.
A group. Can you? I said, look, I ain't gonna have no group. I don't want to do that. I said, well, we can have a call. I said, let's call it the $5 conversation. People can drop $5 in and come into the call and I can talk. And that person dropped the ball with making a flyer, doing everything it took to create a call. And so the first call happened because I did all the work and it was so wonderful. And everybody said, here's $20, $30, here's $50 for my next 17,000 calls. And I was like, wait a minute, who told y'all I was doing this 17,000 more times? And they said, oh, you're going to be doing this. This is a good call. So that's how we got here. It's not what the girl started, or because it was like, it was looking more along the lines like it was going to go down the road of, men and women, what they complain about, and, what women need to fix in order to get a man and all that. But when I did my calls, all my people showed up, which all my people on another level. This is the conscious community. This is all the coaches. These are the spiritually connected people. And when I put out an invitation for the call, that's who I got. So now the conversation started morphing and being organic and moving in the direction that, it needs to go in for us who is here present on the call, because everything is about expansion. And I don't care how long you've been coaching and how spiritually connected you are, there's a place you would be looking to grow to. So this is the arena and the forum for that, for people like us who are a little bit more advanced in every conversation.
Okay.
Giving ourselves the place to be together and to contribute to one another, so that we could grow.
Okay, so this is not just like romantic relationships or anything like that?
No, but everything's about relationships.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Right. So, but also too, it's the COVID. So everybody's home alone and we're not relating and we're not connecting like we used to when we're going outside all the time. And I think that this is a good, like a placeholder or a marker for keeping relationships going and keeping our practice up with how to talk and relate to one another and hear and listen and all of that. So when we do go back out into the world, we're not going back out there crazy.
Right.
What you think about that?
I'll just say, and I really mean this because it's so much to digest, because I have so much going on in my head, but it's perfect. It's perfect. And I like what you said about, everything is a relationship. How I relate to myself, how I relate to TV programming, my daughter, like everything is a work, everything is a relationship. So it's perfect.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, right now, I mean, this is the best time to explore and to deepen the relationship with self. You know, a lot of people are quarantining. And if they like me, I'm quarantining alone. Okay. And I'm having a good time over here. I got everything going on. And it's like, how can anybody not like this? It's a freaking vacation, you know,
Right.
but other
Tell me
people,
a story.
they might not be able to be alone or be with themselves in the way that I'm able to do that. And I take that for granted, I think. I didn't know that people had issues with being alone or staying alone or something like that. Some people are lonely or they think they're lonely. That's not real, right? But that's a whole nother conversation. Okay. Yeah. Some people get sad that there's nobody else with them or whatever people have. So I'm grateful that I don't have any of that. And I'm just free here and I'm just happy. I'm loving myself. I'm loving this time that I have. I feel free. And you know, and I always say to people, I'm here with no income. Okay. I don't have a job on working online. I don't have checks that's coming to me from the unemployment office like other people. I don't have any of that. But yet I'm here, happy, free, all the channels, all the food in the refrigerator, in the pantry, all the gas in my car that if I want to go on a road trip to see my sister who's on here. Because that when I realized for myself a long time ago how to generate and create what I need, whether I'm having a job or something outside of myself or not, contributing to me or not. You know what I mean? I learned a long time ago how to manifest and how to create that. So that's still working, you know, and I teach that every day. So anybody, whoever wants to learn how to do that, they can get me and I'll help them, you know. But yeah, just, you know, being able to connect with people when you hear, you know, to break it up a little bit, you know. I had a marathon the other day with Disney Channel. It was fantastic. You know, I was coloring in my coloring book and I was watching the Disney Channel and all of that. You know what I mean? Every day we can do something different. And it's like, whoa, like a blank slate. You know, what am I going to do today? Or what am I not going to do today? Sometimes I don't want to do anything. I just want to lay down and sleep and listen to binary beats all the time. You guys listen to those, right? Like how to generate money and how to create love and all those on YouTube. Yeah, sometimes I just want to lay down and relax and meditate and sit on my patio. And, you know, I have some birds who came and made a home here. Sometimes I just sit there and I'm observing the birds and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, yeah. Bye, Devon. I'll see you next week. He said he has a client waiting for him, so he's gonna drop off the call.
All right, take care.
No,
Right,
where
guys.
you going? Wait, what? Devon is leaving the call. I was
See
saying
you
bye.
guys later.
Okay, Devon.
Right.
Shirley, where you going?
No, I was just taking it off mute so I could tell him bye.
Oh, I thought you were saying bye.
No.
Joseph is trying to show us something. I want to see what it is.
It was just to let him in. He signed in through his phone.
Oh, he's going on his cell phone. Okay. Well, we're almost ready to finish the Wanda. Oh, I don't know if Wanda has audio. I think I wanted to hear from Wanda, but I don't think she has audio. I think she told me
I just
that.
wanted to share this with you guys.
Oh, your view. He
Oh,
loves sharing that view. It's beautiful.
I love
No,
it.
I was blessed with the quarantine.
Oh,
Where is that?
I thought you moved there.
Oh, I mean, I live here for a few years. I just wanted
That
to share
view
with
is
you.
amazing.
That is
Oh,
amazing.
that's really amazing. And that's a nice big
Yeah.
place too. You
Yeah.
don't have to feel all
Let me shut this.
claustrophobic and everything.
Yep.
When you're home, that picture is hilarious. Whatever you're doing, that picture is, I don't know why I always laugh when I see it. But yeah, that's a nice place to quarantine I see you every day posting your sunset and everything on the beach.
Yeah, and I pay less than
Then you-
almost half of what I paid for a smaller apartment in Brooklyn.
Oh,
It's
wow.
Get
crazy.
me started on that. I'm here in Georgia with like, every month I'm like, let me hurry up and pay before they see me that I'm stealing this apartment. But yeah, thanks you guys. I really, this was a good call. Even though half the people at MIA, everybody was checking in this week, sending their money and everything, half of them are not here. I guess I call people to find out what happened to them. But yeah, so Shirley, what do you have about, because I think you were going to say something about that.
Something about,
There was something I thought you were going to say.
yeah, something that Joseph just said was so powerful about how he lives here in a bigger place and he's paying less.
On the beach, no
Yeah.
less.
And that was my concept, to slow down. Is like sometimes less is more. It's almost like magical. And if I didn't slow down today, I wouldn't be here, because I probably would have been running out trying to get something for my home, just on that hamster wheel. But because I decided to get off and I said a little prayer, like, what does getting off look like? And this is one of the things it looks like, being able to connect and relax and get something really of value versus a new holder I might have just went and got.
I like that. That's real good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, people call me on the phone because most of my work happens over the phone. Okay. And people say, oh, I don't want to take up any more of your time or whatever. Or if they really talking for a long time about something, they want to apologize. But I tell them, listen, me being here with you on the phone, right? Or me being on the call here is your life. It's a human being. It's more important than anything I could be doing. Listening to you as a human being and discovering what you need and how I can give you what I have or whatever. Yeah, who cares about what's waiting for me to do? If I got dishes in there, the inanimate, they're going to be there. If I got laundry in there, it's going to be there. You're a human being. It's more important for me to be with you until you're complete with everything, and then we move apart. I learned that when I was raising children. The dishes are going to be there, the laundry's going to be there, the making up the bed is going to be there. But these are human children. They should come first. And all needs should come first. What do I care about? Oh, somebody might come to my house. Who cares about that? The children and what they need and their development comes first. And if my children want to sit and play with me and they want me to come and watch their show with them or whatever it is, I'm dropping the dishes and the laundry and everything to do that with them. I don't care about how somebody might think my place is looking.
Wow.
Yeah. And eventually they'll take a nap anyway. And they take a nap and I'll do the laundry and I'll do everything. And it'll be fine. Yeah, but that's that prioritizing and that's the putting everything in its place where it belongs or whatever we were talking about earlier with my old aunt and everything, my old auntie, Yeah. So I know George has something he has to do. We usually end these calls like promptly at 2:30. I'm going to say that if everyone's complete and doesn't have anything else, we can end the call now. I just want to check in real quick, Christine, and if George, if you have to hang up, you can still do that. Christine and Sharon, then Sharon. Yeah. I would just want to know if you have anything,
Yeah, no, this is great. I love the part about community and developing community, because that's the big missing now. being in quarantine. I'm with my wife, so I'm blessed. We have been in quarantine, lockdown, whatever, since March 20th together. And thank God we like each other. So, you know, everything is fine here in the house, and very blessed. Now, as far as for me, what's going on, you know, in the big picture and other challenges I have personally, that I'm dealing with, but I'm dealing with it. So I'm thankful, and I love this, and I know I'll be able to contribute more, you know, in the next, you know, upcoming calls, because I really like this. So I'm going to join you when you do this weekly. So thank you.
Thank
for
you. You're
inviting me.
welcome. And can I say something to you?
Yes,
Say
darling.
something.
Yes.
You know, well, first of all, you know I love you to pieces, right?
Same.
Yeah, thank you. You were the first person in the entire world. Where's my little napkin? I always have a little napkin. You were the first person in the entire world that I created community with when I realized and learned that that's what I should be doing.
Wow.
I lived my whole life with, I don't need anybody, I'll do it myself. And I was suffering a little bit because of that, right? Like feeling like Shirley, the person who had 5,000 jobs and I'm only one person. And I would get those 5,000 jobs done, don't get me wrong, but I would be miserable and grumbling all while I'm doing it. And so of course, I went to self-development training and they said, you should let people know that you need help and you should create a community of people who will help you take care of your daughter and help you. And I said, oh man, I never had anybody helping me look after my daughter. This is the main problem that I'm having. And then I met you and you said, hey, I'll look after your daughter. I'm a school teacher. Your daughter's on vacation. I'm on vacation. Leave her with me. And I was like, oh my God, take my daughter. Who left anybody with my daughter? And then my daughter was looking at me like, you don't know this lady. You're going to leave me with this lady? I was like, listen, she's fine. You'll be all right. So, right. And look what happened. Now, she must have been about 12 years old or something. She's 20. She loves the ground you walk on. I called to check to see how things were going. She was the happiest daughter I had ever seen in the whole world. Over there with you and the cats and everything. And so, and look what happened. She got a relationship with your mother, your grandmother.
Yes.
That was so rich for me, you know. So when I say to people create community, it's because I've done it and I've seen the difference between having it and not having it, right? And so you were the first person to, it's funny that this is the first call you will be on where we will be discussing.
Yeah.
You know, but my daughter loves the ground you walk on, you know.
Yeah, I love her too.
Because
you know
of that first experience. And I felt free. I felt, oh, God, Jesus, she's all right. She's over there. I can do what I got to do. Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. And thank you for being, you know, like being open to create that with me, you know.
You're very
That's
welcome.
an important thing too. And and just to circle back on what you said about community and people having difficulty creating community and joining community, it's scary sometimes. Because it is a vulnerability, right? But what we forget is that we're hardwired to be in community. Like human beings wouldn't be on the planet if we did not work in community to survive. So literally, community means survival. And when we isolate ourselves purposely, that's where we suffer. And when we take everything on ourselves, that's where we suffer. Because we're hardwired to be in community with others. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But I thank you, Tanya. You're amazing. I love you. But that's the hardwired. That's the neurology of it. You know. research proven scientific, and I love it. But it's scary, but it's the truth, you know?
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mm.
Yeah. Almost
You're welcome, and thank you.
Yeah, like, okay, great. Okay, so Shirley, Sharon Green, and then we're gonna say something, Shirley, George can wrap us out. But Sharon, you all right? How you doing?
Yeah, this was great. This was the conversation I needed to have. And be present for. And so I'm looking forward to being here more often and being in this community of like-minded people. A lot of times we say we want to just be present and, you know, whomever, but it's welcoming and it's full of love when you're around like-minded people.
Yeah, thank you. And that's exactly what I wanted to create for us. And so it helps me to understand that we are moving in the direction that I intended for us to be going in. So thank you for that feedback. You know, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, George is gone and he's the co-pilot and everything.
I was just getting ready to see, but yeah.
Okay, say something for us before you go, and then we all gonna go when you leave.
Oh, well, I mean, for me, it was a great conversation today. It's just a reminder of one of the biggest takeaway for me for today would be the check-in, which is very, very important, because what we do on a daily basis is that we get caught up in the hamster wheel in life, where we get caught up in our own routine and we keep doing these routines that sometimes we have to literally set up a time to just break out of that and take a look at what's going on for you. And most people don't do that. And that's one of the things that I find that successful people, they do that. They take the time to say, hey, okay, let me look and see what's going on, see where I want to go with my life, see what I want to create for the next 5, 10 years or whatever. Just create a map, but not set up, a plan and say, hey, you know what, this is the plan, this is the map, this is where I want to go. And however it shows up, it shows up. I'm not creating a plan on how to get there, but I create a map on how to go there. And then I just follow that map. You have to take these time out where you say, hey, maybe it's every 3 months, maybe it's every 4 months or something. And you have these check-in, because some people, what they do is they wait till the new year and they create a resolution and say, okay, this is my New Year's resolution. And there's nothing, because of what they're doing, they have this routine, which they never check in. They create that, but then they don't move forward with it. Or within a week, they say, oh, this year I'm going to lose 100 pounds. And then in a week now, I got to eat. And my brother, like, yeah. He's like, I get hungry. He's like, I'm like, you're on a diet. He's like, yeah, but I get hungry. I can't do it. And the thing is, we have to check in and say, hey, let me take this time, whether it's a couple of days, 3, 4 days, take a vacation, go to a place by yourself, change your environment, and then look at everything that you're doing for yourself, and then recreate and say, okay, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to change the direction of the trajectory of where I'm going. And that all comes from the checking in and being, truly honest with yourself, because as human beings, we are creatures that generalize, delete, and distort. So we'll distort something to make it so we can feel good, even though it's not good in the moment. And the only way to break out of that pattern, because all it is, it's really a pattern, is to, be very, very honest with yourself. And sometimes we can't do that, being honest with ourselves, especially if you've been lying to yourself for many, many years. Sometimes you might need someone there to say, hey, and that's where, a coach come in like Tanya, where, that coach will be honest with you and tell you, hey, this is what they reflect the mirror and say, this is really what you're projecting. And then from there, you can move forward. And that's just my take. That's my takeaway from today.
Thank you. Thank you, George. And they don't do that. When I tell them what they're projecting, they say, well, I got to eat. I'm hungry. I get hungry. They do that. That comes first, then we break through that. But yeah, thank you for that. That's really good. And I really appreciate you, George, helping me on these calls. I couldn't do this without you. I'm serious,
Thank you.
There's that. So we're going to call it quits if that's everything. And I'll see you guys next week. All right?